All right. Hello, everybody. Juliana Garcia here. Welcome to my live. Welcome to my live. So, it is Friday, March the 22nd, 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And today I want to talk about nutrition and why it is so important that we change the way we look at food during perimenopause and menopause. Okay, so if you don't know who I am a wellness coach. I am a personal trainer of 20 years and a nutritionist of 12 years. I'm also a pro bodybuilder, retired pro bodybuilder. Put my body through a lot of nutritional changes in the last 15 years. I'm 48 years old and I am experiencing perimenopause. I am going through perimenopause. And the reason why I'm now going towards more this realm and talking to more women about this is because there's a need for it. What I discovered when I realized that I was going through perimenopause, that there were not a lot of resources out there. There were not a lot of people talking about it. In the last year now, though, I've seen a lot more doctors, which I love, that are going online. One of my favorites, Dr. Mary Claire Haver, who's based out of Texas, who has the Galveston diet, which I'm going to be referencing today because I believe that this is how we women in our perimenopausal, menopausal years should be eating. Now, my background is bodybuilding. My background came from constantly putting my body through strength training and eating tons of protein, lots of complex carbs, lots of healthy fats. I'm a believer in eating lots of food so that your body will grow. Now, there's also a history where I believe where when you ate in a calorie deficit, calories in versus calories out, right? That's what they teach us. That if you eat less, you will lose weight. If you eat less than what your body burns in a day, you're going to lose weight. Now, if you eat the same amount of food that your body needs to get through the day, then you're not going to lose weight. And if you eat a surplus, if you're eating more calories than what your body's burning, you're going to put on weight. If you do it the right way, and eat a surplus with healthy amounts of protein and carbohydrates and fats, you can gain muscle when you couple it with strength training. So I'm experienced at bodybuilding, but I'm also experienced at coaching and teaching women on how to live a balanced and optimal life by way of nutrition, making healthy food choices and not restricting your calories and not restricting your foods. Now, there are particular things that we do want to stay away from. There are things that we don't want to put in our body that are going to be inflammatory. We want to look more towards an anti-inflammatory way of eating. Now, I know most women wonder, what should I be eating? So we're going to talk about that today. And if you're like most women, you've probably spent a lot of your adult life counting calories, like myself, or at least thinking in terms of calories. And there is a place for that. But what we don't want to do, ladies, what we don't want to do is we don't want to restrict our calories so much that we're losing our bone mass, that we're losing our muscle mass. We want to make sure that we're fueling our bodies. Lucas, go to your spot, buddy. Hear my dog walking around in the background. Go to your spot, stay. Good boy. Good boy. All right, sorry. So as I said, whenever you wanted to lose some weight, you probably went on a diet. And let's talk about what the word diet means here. Diet means that what diet really is in Latin terms means what you eat in a day. Okay? And I know diet has a very negative connotation to it, but it is a word and it's talking about what we eat in a day. So you probably went on a diet and ate less and exercised more so that you could lose weight, right? Correct. Where we went wrong in this is we were trying to exercise and put on muscle while still trying to eat less, and that doesn't work. I learned that the hard way. In fact, in my early years as a bodybuilder, I would do exactly what my coach said. My coach gave me a particular meal plan. I followed it exactly. It got me results. But at the end of that, I realized that wasn't sustainable and it wasn't the healthiest thing to do. So I went back to school. I have a nutrition degree now. And knowing what I know now, I'm very science-based, and I've read a lot of research articles with evidence that state particular things, like we need to have enough protein in order for our bodies to grow muscle. We need to have enough calories in order for our bodies to grow muscle. And this is gonna be a recurring theme that I talk about. I'm gonna talk about protein a lot because it's very vital it's one of our main macronutrients. We have 3 macronutrients that we're gonna talk about, okay? So I just want you to take a look around, and there are countless women starving themselves, eating only low fat, chemical filled foods, and trying to burn off those foods with endless time at the gym. We've got to stop doing that. In your 20s and 30s, I know these are the things that we were taught. I was taught this as a fit pro, I was taught this as a bodybuilder. But knowing what I know now, and after going back to school and after the books that I've read, that is not the way to go, especially for our long term health, especially if we want to optimize our hormones. Okay, I'm going to only talk about optimizing our hormones here because as we go through menopause, perimenopause, and postmenopause, well, when you're postmenopausal, you don't have any more hormones. They're gone. Your ovaries have stopped producing eggs. You're no longer shedding your lining anymore. You're not having a period, and you are estrogen gone. Okay, the fuel is the tank is empty. There's no more estrogen fuel. And I do want to stress how important it is, ladies, if you are going through this and you're a little lost and not sure what to do, and you're trying to optimize your hormones, and you're on social media and you see these influencers that are saying, optimize and balance your hormones with healthy eating. Yes, we can optimize our hormones with healthy eating, but that's only just one piece of the puzzle. Only one piece of the puzzle. And I learned that as I've been going through perimenopause, I was doing all of the right things. I was finding these articles and they were saying that you need to eat healthy, eat an anti-inflammatory diet, get away from all the chemical induced foods, eat single ingredient foods, things that I was already doing and practicing. And I was trying to find supplements that were going to alleviate my anxiety, my depression, and make me feel better. And it was just, it was crazy. I was on this roller coaster. I'm like, I'm doing all of the right things, but I'm not feeling any relief and I'm not feeling any better. And the reason why is because my estrogen, my progesterone, and my testosterone, my three main sex hormones, were doing this. They're just doing this the whole time, fluctuating. Testosterone was definitely down. And some of my symptoms were I was tired, low energy. I could tell that I wasn't lifting as heavy as I used to in the gym. And so I did something I never did in my whole bodybuilding career. I got on testosterone cream, and I tried the testosterone cream for about 7 or 8 months. Maybe it worked a little bit, maybe I'm still not too sure, but I was just on testosterone and progesterone, and those two together did not get it for me. I was still feeling severe symptoms of anxiety, depression, low libido. So I switched my providers, and then I got on some testosterone injections. That helped. Now, ladies, my protocol is not going to be the same for you. And I'm not saying what I should do is what you should do. You should definitely find your healthcare provider that is going to guide and help you. And if you've heard any of my lives before, ladies, find a certified menopausal specialist. You can go to menopause.org from the National American Menopause Society, put in your zip code, and they're going to filter out a list to find a doctor that specializes in this. Because if you go to your OB-GYN, if you go to a doctor on your insurance plan that doesn't specialize in this and doesn't advocate with you for your health, then they're going to dismiss your symptoms. They're going to tell you that you're too young. They're going to tell you that, they don't do hormone therapy. And if they don't offer hormone therapy and they have a wellness practice for women, that's messed up. They should be having this as part of a recommendation, as part of an option. You deserve to have options in how you're going to move forward during your perimenopausal journey. So hormone replacement therapy is definitely part of a toolbox, my toolbox, that I use alongside with healthy nutrition. So let's get back into nutrition. That's what this live is about. And go ahead, if you're watching the replay of this, and you have questions, put them in the comments and I will respond to your comments even after this live. I'll be on every Friday to talk about a different topic. And today we're going to be talking about nutrition. So despite what we've all been told, losing weight is not just as simple as energy in and energy out. Eat less and exercise more. It's just not. There are millions of women that are made to feel bad by this common misperception. And for example, that we just need to have more self-control when it comes to weight loss. There are so many women that go to their doctors in their 40s and their weight has slowly been accumulating and adding up and adding on pounds, and maybe their clothes aren't fitting any better and they don't understand. They haven't changed the way they're eating. They're still going to the gym. In fact, they're eating less and they're moving more, and they go to their doctor and the doctor is gaslighting them. Oh, you're probably not eating the way you say you are. Maybe you're missing it. Maybe there's some gaps here that you're unaware of. And they're making us feel bad for what we're telling them. They're not believing us. If you go to your doctor and you're telling your doctor that you're actually doing something and you really are, and they're dismissing you, it's important to find a doctor that's going to listen. Really, really going to listen. Okay. So let's talk about macros here for a minute. So macronutrients are the calories that come from three macronutrients. They come from protein, carbohydrates, and from healthy fats. Okay, they give you energy and you're going to need them in large supply. So when you're eating calories in a day, now I know a lot of women out there are tracking their food. They want it. And the first thing they ask when we get on a call or a consultation is, well, Juliana, how many calories should I be eating? And I do answer that question for them, but I want them to understand and know that this is not something that you should be doing and become obsessed with it, because what we need to do is we need to nourish our body. We need to have a conversation with ourselves about food, and we need to change the way we think about food. We want to look at food as a nourishing component. We want to look at food as a way of fueling our bodies. Okay, so macronutrients are also called macros, and as I mentioned, they're proteins, carbs, and fats that make up the greatest part of your nutrition diet or your nutrition plan. So they're also called macros as well, and each of them has a very important function in your body. And a healthy diet will include all three of these. So, ladies, important. I know we've all tried the different diets out there. I've done keto, I've done paleo. What else have I done? I've done the bodybuilder diet, where that's very restrictive. There's a lot of diets out there, but in the bodybuilder diet, they took away my fats. It wasn't until 4 years after, and I got my degree in school, or 3 years later that I got my degree, that I realized I need to be eating healthy fats. So I actually put healthy fats into my bodybuilding nutrition plan. And I had other competitors look at me like, what are you doing? Why are you eating all that fat? And it actually was more beneficial to me. I felt better. My workouts were better, and my muscles started to respond better to having healthier fats. So having all three macronutrients is going to be important. And each of the macros are going to serve a different purpose in your menopausal journey as well. Okay, so each one is going to raise your insulin levels differently as well. And what we want to do is we want to balance our insulin, because insulin influences sex hormones. And if you want to begin to balance estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone in your body, then one of the first things to do is ensure the food you're eating isn't constantly spiking your insulin levels. Okay, so when we eat a lot of starchy, sugary carbs, that spikes our insulin. And what we don't want to do is put our body on a roller coaster of insulin spikes. So let's talk about carbohydrates. That's the first thing we're going to talk about. So all foods stimulate your blood sugar, but simple carbs like white bread, cookies, they cause the most extreme spikes. So if you're having any of these in your day-to-day eating plan, I want you to start removing them and start putting in foods like fruits and vegetables that are going to be more fibrous, and some whole grains. Sprinkle in some whole grains. We're going to talk about that as well. So because what you want to do is you want to opt for whole grains and more complex carbs and fruit and foods like brown rice and your vegetables. So the first thing you want to do is look at your carbohydrate intake. And if you want to track your food, I recommend tracking your food so that you can see where you land and fall. You might be chronically under eating, you might be overeating, or you might be in a sweet spot. But another reason why we want to track our food is so that we can look at your micronutrients, making sure that you're getting enough of those nutrients like your magnesium, your vitamin A, D, E, K, C. We want to look at all of these nutrients and make sure that we're getting enough, because our body needs to be nourished, especially during this time as we go through perimenopause. So when you eat a diet that's rich in fiber, fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, then your body is going to have much more steady and balanced blood sugar levels. And that's what we want to do. Given that it takes much longer for the body to digest complex carbs, and it will help the body to avoid excessive insulin release. So again, fruits, vegetables, things that are going to be beneficial. And I'm going to talk a little more about a few nutrients that you could be taking along with your whole foods when you're eating as well. Okay. Now, unfortunately, it's very easy for someone to just eat sugar, bread, pastries, and there's many of you that have access to this regularly and daily. Some people go to work and they have a break room full of these foods to choose from, and it's really hard to resist, especially if you missed breakfast, you rushed out of the house, and now you're at work and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have a donut and some coffee. That's a super easy thing to do to satisfy that hunger bug, right? But that's not what we want to do. All right, it is literally the last thing we want to do. The body doesn't have to work very hard to break down those foods and release sugar into the bloodstream, but then it causes an insulin spike. Okay, it takes much longer for the body to digest complex carbs, so fibrous carbs, fibrous fruits and vegetables, and so those are the carbs that we want to favor. Okay, so with carbohydrates, we want to have more fibrous, complex carbs and stay away from the highly processed ones. So, all right, we're going to talk about protein now. So, similar to complex carb strategy, you want to include more protein because that also helps balance your blood sugar by slowing down digestion. And that's what we want to do. We want to slow down your digestion, which also slows the absorption of any carbohydrate-based food that you consume along with it. So, what you don't want to do is have carbohydrates by itself. You want to couple it up with a protein. So in the morning, if you're a breakfast person, then having some eggs and a bowl of blueberries and cottage cheese will be ideal. You're going to get some good protein from your eggs. You're also going to get some good protein from your cottage cheese. And eggs don't contain a lot of protein. So I don't expect a woman to have 5 eggs to get 20 to 25 grams of protein. But the goal of how much protein that you want to have, you want to try and aim for at least 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal. I know some of you are thinking like, what are you talking about? That's a lot of protein. But a lot of women hardly get any protein in their day. Some of them save it for their last meal, dinner time, where they might get maybe 20 to 25 grams, depending on what they're having. A lot of times they'll have a piece of fish or a steak or some type of meat, along with maybe pasta or rice or something that's going to spike their blood sugar. But what we want to do is we want to have protein throughout the day. So make sure that you're getting anywhere from 25 to 30 grams of protein in a day. And a good way to measure that, if you're having animal protein, for every ounce of meat, you have roughly around 7 grams of protein. So if you did 4 ounces of meat, whether it's turkey, ground chicken, chicken breast, fish, you're getting between that 25 and 30 grams of protein if you're having 4 ounces of meat. So if you're going to start anything today, and if you're going to start getting in more protein, then I recommend eating 3 solid meals where you are going to get at least 25 to 30 grams of protein. All right, so now you're looking at having hopefully 75 to 90 grams of protein, which is way more than what the average woman is having. And if you want to know how much protein you should be having in a day, ladies, then take your goal body weight, and you can have 1 gram of protein per your goal body weight. Your goal body weight is 130 pounds, then 130 grams of protein. That is on the upper end. I know it is. I think there's also another formula, I believe, where you take 0.8, multiply that by the kilograms in weight, kilograms in weight. So, which is a little more difficult to do. I just say goal weight. You do your goal weight and multiply that by 1, and then that's a good goal. Not a lot of women are going to reach that goal, but at least you have a starting number that you can start with. Okay. It's also really important to consider your protein quality. So the animals we eat are often injected with growth hormones and antibiotics, and these chemicals can wreak havoc on your hormones. So ladies, another little extra step, like you deserve to have the prime, the best. So looking for grass-fed organic meats is going to be your best option. I switched over to all grass-fed and or organic about fully 100% like 4 years ago. It's very rare I've purchased any meat that isn't grass-fed or organic, only because I want to make sure I'm not putting in all those additional chemicals and antibiotics. So whenever possible, choose grass-fed organic meats. Pay attention to your labels. You will start to see many meat labels read raised without antibiotics, and they have grass-fed or hormone-free. Look for those labels. That's going to help. Okay, now let's talk about fats. Now, if you came of age in the 1980s, you probably have a deeply rooted fear of fat. I know. When I got into bodybuilding, even my trainers that I first had in the first 3 to 4 years, they took all of my fats away, and it was terrible. I felt it. It was not good. You could see it. You can see it in my skin. I was depressed because I didn't have fats. We need fats for our health. Fats are an essential part of your diet because they help with growth, development, regulate hormones, and they help absorb fat soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, and they do reduce inflammation. So we need these. And fats also affect your blood sugar because fats have much more complex molecular structures than simple carbohydrates. It takes the digestive system longer to digest them, similar to complex carbs and protein. So, healthy fats, avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oils, these are the type of fats that you want to have. Okay, not the saturated kind, not the kind that comes in fast food, but the ones that come in healthy foods. So, and remember, not all fats are created equal. So, let's just talk about some of the types here. So, we're going to talk about trans fats. So, oh, it looks like we have a viewer. I want to say hello, viewer. Put a note in the comment to say hello, please. So trans fats are the lowest quality of fat and should be avoided as much as possible. And these fats are designed to give foods flavor and increase their shelf life, and that's why they're used in foods. They've also been shown to accelerate aging and increase risk of heart disease and cancer. So we want to stay away from the trans fats. Then the next kind of fat we want to avoid is going to be our saturated fat. And saturated fats can be found in meats, dairy, some baked goods, fried foods, and palm-based oils such as palm, kernel, and coconut oil. And saturated fat is generally solid at room temperature, so that's how you can identify it. And while considered healthier than trans fats, the quality and quantity of how much you eat of these fats should be monitored. Okay, so you want to limit these. Then we have unsaturated fats, which is considered the healthiest of all fats. Now, these have been shown to improve your blood cholesterol levels, decrease inflammation, and they have some other health benefits as well. And there's two types of unsaturated fats. I call them MUFAs and PUFAs. So monounsaturated fatty acids are usually liquid at room temperature, and they can be found in foods like olive oil, avocados, nuts, and seeds. And then we have our PUFAs, polyunsaturated fats. And these are usually liquid at room temperature as well. And they can be found in foods like flaxseed oil, walnuts, flax seeds, fish, salmon, which these also have omega-3s, mackerel, trout, and herring. So you're going to get those more from your fish and from some nuts like walnuts. And then flax seeds you can put like on top of your yogurt. So these are really good healthy fats that you want to incorporate into your diet. Now that we've talked about macros, you have a better understanding of what it is that we're trying to accomplish, and that's to have an anti-inflammatory diet. Okay, eat single ingredient foods. That's going to be the most beneficial. And so that means we want to start staying away from processed foods. So the next couple of things to address, the next concept here to address is going to be when it comes to nutrition during perimenopause and menopause, it's the concept of reducing your processed foods and eating more whole foods. If you follow me on social media, I love to share my macro bowls where I do single ingredient foods, and they're all pretty much the same. I just throw in different varieties of ingredients to give them different flavors. I do Mediterranean bowls, teriyaki bowls, I do fish bowls, taco bowls, and it always starts with the same base where I have some type of fibrous carbohydrate, I have a lean protein, I have vegetables, I have a complex carb, whether it's brown rice, whether I'm having lentils in there or having chickpeas, like chickpeas is lentil, or if I'm having a quinoa. So there's a different variety of ways to make these macro bowls, but these are going to be the best route when getting healthier nutrition. So you want to first recognize your processed foods, and it's any food that undergoes changes during preparation. That's what's considered processed, and that can include steps like freezing or cooking that have relatively minor impact or drastic changes that actually add large amounts of sugar and salt to create empty calories. So we're talking about chips, right? We're talking about bagel chips. We're talking about foods that you find in the aisles at the grocery store. And then you also want to avoid ultra-processed foods. Now, ultra-processed foods, when we talk about that, it's mostly that these items contain more lab products than natural ingredients, and about 70% of the packaged foods in most supermarkets fall into this category as well. And there's a lot of marketing that goes out there, so you've got to be mindful when you read these labels. There's some trickery going on out there. So be very careful when you see this, because overprocessed foods are a major factor in the rising rates of overweight and obesity. And a study by the National Institutes of Health found that participants who ate these foods gained more weight than those who ate natural foods, even when they consumed the same number of calories. So even if you're eating the same amount of calories as the next person, if they're coming from ultra processed foods, they're the ones that are going to gain more weight. Remember, these are the foods that are going to spike our insulin, put us on a blood sugar roller coaster. And when we release too much insulin, we start developing insulin sensitivity, and then we're not able to shuttle that food energy into our muscles. We're putting it into fat storage, especially if we're over consuming it. So we want to learn how to read the labels. Check your ingredients and nutritional information, including added sugar and salt here. Okay, so we've covered our macros: protein, carbohydrates, and fats. We've talked about processed foods. So the biggest thing you want to do is really limit those processed foods. Eat more single ingredient foods. So there is a way to still benefit from the convenience of packaged food if you have to go that route without ruining nutrition. So some things you can do is like buying beans in a bag. Okay, try to stay away from the canned beans. They're now putting them in the bag. If fish might be too expensive, then your fish intake can be canned tuna and salmon if you want to do that, and you can enjoy that in sandwiches and casseroles. Eat yogurt for additional protein, and then you can even add nuts and flax seeds and hep hearts for even more nutritional value to be added to that as well. Okay, so switching breads could be very helpful. Instead of the white processed wheat bread, try doing more Ezekiel whole grain breads. That would be an option. And then if you're on a budget and you're not able to buy whole ingredient fruits and vegetables, then trying for the frozen would be a good idea to do as well. Okay. So now that you understand the importance of all three macro types and choosing whole foods versus, instead of processed foods, then you're probably wondering, how do you put this all together? So because we don't want to do rigid calorie counting, right? But what we want to do is keep in mind what we're eating and in what portions. So ladies, as I mentioned, if you stick to around 4 ounces of meat, you're going to be getting between 25 and 30 grams of protein. For your more complex carbs, like your grains, doing a minimum of a half a cup. A half a cup is going to yield you about 25 to 30 grams of carbs, which is a good amount of carbs to take in. You want to get your complex carbs early on in the day. So for breakfast, snacks, and lunch, and taper those down, and having protein with every meal, and having a healthy fat with every meal as well. And if you are going to be tracking your macros and your calories, then you want to aim to eat anywhere from 25 to 30% fats, about 40% carbohydrates, and about 30% protein. So if an easier way to think of it is 30, 40, 30. 30 protein, 40 carbs, 30 fats. Okay. Oh, now, and if you're watching the replay and you have any questions on this topic today, please put them in the comments and I will come back and answer them for you. So here's just a few tips before we close out. I want you to choose your own foods within reason, okay? The freedom of this way of eating comes from the ability to select the foods that you like. So find a couple of proteins that you like. Prepare them in bulk, okay? You still want to focus on avoiding processed foods. You want to customize your nutritional needs and adjust the ratios of protein, carbs, and fats if necessary. So, not everybody is different. You got to see what works for you. For example, if you exercise more, you may want to change your carbohydrate and protein ratio. So it really depends on your lifestyle, how active you are as well. And also remember micronutrients. Although the focus of nutrition is on macronutrients, it's important not to neglect your micronutrients as well. So you want to plan your way of eating to have a variety of foods so you can get more vitamins and minerals, which are micronutrients, okay? Also, remember to focus on quality. Not all proteins, carbs, and fats are created equal, so it's still very important to make smart choices so that you're nourishing your body. And monitor your portions as well. So if you've never used a scale before and you want to start measuring out for your protein, then I recommend getting a scale. And then I recommend getting some measuring cups. I recommend reading your nutrition labels. There's going to be a lot of different tips that you can throw in there. I know it's not easy to just start changing the way you're eating. If you've been eating a particular way, maybe you've been eating out all the time, fast food, out to dinner all the time. But when you're making your meals at home, you're going to be in more control of your foods. So try cooking at home. And if you're still a little apprehensive about that, try doing an online delivery service where they have healthful meals that you can choose from, like Trifecta or Factor Meals. If you use a service like that, then you let's say you order their meals for a week, you can see how they're putting their meals together and get an idea of the ingredients you can purchase, and you'll save more money that way too. It can be a little expensive to do home delivery healthy meals, but at least you'll have an idea of what a healthy meal looks like, and you'll get some different ideas. And if you're looking for more nutrition coaching and guidance, you can message me and set up a complimentary consultation, and I can help guide you. And in this consultation, I can even look at how you're eating and see where you should be making changes, and I can even tell you how many calories you could be eating in a day if that's something that you're looking for. All right, that's going to end today's live. So like I said, if there are any questions, please put them into the comments, and I will answer them when I get back, when I see them. And continue. If you know somebody that could benefit from this video, please share it. Again, this group is for women going through menopause, perimenopause, where I'm here to help guide you along this journey, because it sucks. Menopause sucks, but it doesn't have to. And there are ways that we can optimize our health. And also, I do have a coaching program where I have a couple of modules in there that actually I go into a deep dive with nutrition and teaches you how to eat healthier, what foods to eat, and you even get a meal plan that comes along with healthy recipes as well, and other great resources that can help you live healthier along this menopausal journey. I'm Juliana Garcia, and I will see you in the next video.